Good morning to everyone, and thank you for tuning into our bulletin this Sunday morning. You're listening to the club station of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club, known as ZS6STN. Your newsreader this morning is Mike Bath, ZS6XYZ. This club bulletin is broadcast every Sunday at 0845 on the following frequencies: 145.700 MHz FM in the 2-meter band, 7115 kilohertz lower sideband in the 40-meter band, courtesy of Noel, I think it is. We also have our Echolink node, the ZS6STN-R node. And then this morning, in the last little while, Justin and his team have been very busy with linking the repeaters, and we are testing a new node connecting the West Rand to the ZA-Net repeater network. It is on for this bulletin, and we would like to welcome any of the West Rand Club members to our bulletin. At this point, there's still a beep after each tail, so we need to give a second or two before responding between overs. This will finally be removed. Further down the line, carts will also be connected. However, I'm not sure if they are connected at this stage. I'm going to start by reading some of the highlights from the SARL main news bulletin. This bulletin begins with a silent key. This is a deep regret that we announced the key of Bert van Raden, ZS6LP, went silent on the 5th of November 2024. We extend our condolences to his widow Maureen and son Richard. You are listening to the news bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club. We're currently going through the highlights of the SARL main bulletin. First item up, are you ready for Bakar 12? The event is coordinated through the Secunda Radio Club, ZS6SRC. This will be the 12th balloon flight, and hence named Bakar 12. All three of the Bakar 12 balloons and payloads will take to the sky from Trichard Model Airstrip near Secunda on Saturday morning, the 16th of November. And everyone is invited to participate, even if you cannot get to the launch. The balloons include a planet-circling foil balloon with a WSPR beacon, a weather balloon, and a Bakar payload balloon carrying APRS, LORA, static crossband repeaters, SSTV transmitters, sensors, and cameras. You can get involved by tracking the various balloons, making use of the crossband repeaters, and decoding the SSTV images. There's a Bakar 12 participation WhatsApp group that you can join for the event, where you can publish tracking information, repeater successes, and decoded SSTV images. Most importantly, your answer to the SSTV decode quiz. Yes, there are prizes and certificates in line for those who take part. Please have a look at the SARL upcoming events diary for the WhatsApp group joining link, and all the payloads and their frequencies. Next item, IARU news. The 75th anniversary of the IARU Region 1 and Region 2 interim meeting will be held in Paris, France, on the 24th to the 25th of April 2025. The IARU 100-year celebration will be on the 26th of April 2025. The next item is happy birthday to AMSAT and Oscar 7. Throughout the month of November, AMSAT will celebrate the 50th anniversary of amateur satellite AMSAT Oscar 7 AO7, a small sat launched on the 15th of November 1974. AO7 is still working and has been nicknamed the Sleeping Beauty of satellites because it came back after life after years of sleeping. Designed by radio amateurs, the final assembly occurred in a basement laboratory not far from the Goddard Space Flight Center in Maryland. AO7 lived a very healthy lifetime for 6.5 years, but in the late 1880s, its NiCad battery began to show serious signs of increased series resistance. This was sure sign that AMSAT command stations was the end of sight for AO7. The cells had been originally matched for capacity by NASA, and they all failed within a matter of weeks of one another. The ZS6STN stayed asleep for 21 years, but then one day in June 2002, the satellite woke up again. This was only possible if something caused an open circuit in the battery. On the 21st of June 2002, a very active user of AO7, Pat Golden, Z3IOR from the UK, made a telephone call to Perry Klein, W3PK, the first AMSAT president and designer of the VHF-HF transponder. Gawain was wondering if the low Earth orbit spacecraft had been launched. He was hearing Morse code telemetry again on AO7's old beacon frequency. He played Perry the tape recording, and it turned out to be AO7 telemetry. AMSAT will honor this historic achievement with a series of short articles highlighting the life of AO7. You can visit the special page on AMSAT website where you'll find a collection of AO7 articles. Now we move on to some club news within the bulletin, the main SARL bulletin. Wednesday evening the 27th of November at 1900 is the next Power Hour Tech Talk on the topic of HF field antenna placement. Many will know our guest speaker Brandon, ZS6LZ, and as the guy is extremely active on SOTA and has already helped many others have fun in the field with their radios. We now have the privilege of tapping deeper into his expertise, and he shares his learned and practical experience of practical HF field antenna placement. Brandon has developed a special interest in making DX contacts from SOTA, peaks, and field station setups. He explores the nuanced principles of HF propagation and near and far field effects of HF propagation, practical field antenna placement. This session delves into the near and far field environments that influence antenna performance, focusing on real-world factors like ground reactivity, reflection zones, terrain, and optimal takeoff angles. Join us for a theoretical and practical discussion on how subtle adjustments in field antenna placement and orientation can impact HF reach. Everyone is welcome, so please spread the word and be sure to join our Power Hour Tech Talk. Then, lastly, the Pretoria Amateur Radio Club will be having their flea market on the 7th of December at the Pretoria Old Motor Club starting at 10 o'clock. We now move on to contest news. With apologies for the necessary correction to the recent ZS1 QSO party results, ZS1 BAK, which was reported as the winning station, was in fact a club station, and their logs were only to be used as a check sheet. Therefore, the results should have been recorded as first Michael, ZS4 BHF, then second Gerard, ZS3TG, and Dion, ZS5DCS, and then third Charles, ZS1CF. The results you've been waiting for have arrived, the results of the SARL QRP Spring Contest, but first some stats. 11 logs were received for the fourth and final leg of the contest. 135 QSOs were logged, of which 6 were CW QSOs, 9 FT8 QSOs, 123 of the QSOs were logged on the 40-meter band, and only 12 on the 20-meter band, which shows that difficult 20-meter operating conditions on the day. 104 of the QSOs were reported QRP to QRP QSOs, with 4 of the 11 QRP stations achieving distances of over 1,000 kilometers using QRP power. And the winners of the fourth leg is third place is Quibus, ZS6BOS with 37 points, and the next, our very own Matthew, in second place, ZS6MDV with 38 points, and again, Brandon, ZS6LZ with 49 points. Brandon, ZS6LZ takes home both the top scorer and Phone Mode Pro awards. Philip, ZS6FY, takes the FTA and Pro Mode award, and Andy, ZS6ADY, takes the CW Pro award. So yeah, once again, well done to all of those, Matthew and Brandon. The Phone Mode Champion award goes to Matthew, ZS6MDV. The CW Mode Champion goes to Eddie, ZS6BNE. Johan, ZS6JBZ, takes home both the JS8 and FT8 Mode Champion awards. And Marius, ZR6MS, takes the QRP Chaser Champion award those are the annual results. Congratulations to our 2024 QRP Contest Series champions, and a really big thank you to all who participated. It's a really big thank you to all who have participated, and especially to those who submitted their logbooks. Your certificates are on their way. Finally, you are personally invited to get ready for the 2025 QRP Contest Series, where you will get to enjoy the exciting changes that have been introduced to increase the QRP contest fund. Lastly, I move on to the propagation report. Hannes Kutsia, ZS6BZP, reports that the solar activity is expected to be at moderate levels. There are currently 9 sunspot regions with some simple to complex magnetic configurations visible. There is a high probability for C and M-class flares. If you want to do your own frequency predictions, the expected effective sunspot number for this week will be around 179. The 10 and 20 meter bands will, especially in late afternoon and early evening, provide some good DX fun. 6 meters may also hold some pleasant surprises. Please visit the website spaceweather.stanza.org.za for further information. Then just finally the diary of some upcoming events. The 16th of November is the SARL newbie contest. The 23rd of November is the CQWWDXCW contest and the SARL 40 meter club contest. And then the 27th of November is our Sandton Amateur Radio Club Power Hour Tech Talk. I'd now like to move on to Sandton Amateur Radio Club news, and I'd like to just have a listen out for any of the committee members who want to come in and give us some club news. This is ZS6STN standing by.
ZS6 Hotel India.
ZS6 Hotel India. Keith, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mike. Let's start with some of what you've already mentioned, but on November the 16th is definitely the Baycar Saturday morning launch party, and then obviously the tracking and tracing of the Baycar balloons and tracing, and I know Hamnet gets very involved in that, and they've had a great success rate today in terms of finding the balloon or getting to the landing site basically just as the balloon lands, which is quite awesome. So big thank you to the Secunda Amateur Radio Club and Hamnet for what they will do on the day. And if anyone wants to go down to Secunda, the launch typically takes place at about 7 in the morning on Saturday the 16th of November. ZS6STN is flying 2 packages, as you've probably seen in some of the communications. The first package is a whisper beacon put together by Stuart, ZR1 Whiskey Tango in George, and he's preloading that up to myself so we can put that onto the foil balloon, which is hoped to circumnavigate the globe. Let's see how many times we can circle the globe, and maybe, as we've mentioned previously, it'll land on top of the Aussies high. But that whisper beacon will be trackable. It's obviously got a solar panel on it. Well, not obviously, but it does, because obviously if it's going to circumnavigate the globe for many days, then the battery will not last. So Stuart has fitted it with a solar panel and some super caps, and it will broadcast 10 milliwatts at 10-minute intervals whenever it's in the sun. So during the day, it'll do that, and it'll be broadcasting 2 packages. One package with the grid square that the balloon is in, and the second package with things like its temperature. So that the Baycar balloon is going to be an exciting adventure on Saturday morning, the 16th of November. At the same time, we are going to be having an antenna build, so ZS6STN, courtesy of Gerrit, ZS6GVH, is having an antenna build out at Emmarentia Dam. So you are all invited to come out and meet the new amateurs that have joined us, and they've successfully got their licenses during the last RAE, and that will be out at Emmarentia Dam. So that will also be taking place on Saturday morning and going into the newbie contest on the Saturday as well. So they will put antennas together, and then they will use those antennas during the newbie contest. So big thank you to Gerrit ZS6GVH for that initiative. On 23 November is the SARL Saturday 40-meter club contest, and this is where we get involved and we score points for the club. because the clubs can also win contests, not just individuals. So we would like everyone possible to participate in that 40-meter club contest on a Saturday afternoon, November 23. And as you mentioned already, Mike, the Power Hour Tech Talk, and ZS6 Lima Zulu, Brandon, will be giving that Tech Talk to us, and he will be showing us how to maximize our contacts and our distance achieved by carefully thinking about how we place our antenna. So that'll be an interesting talk, and that'll be on the November the 27th, Wednesday evening, November the 27th at 7 in the evening, and that will be on Zoom and relayed onto our repeater network as well. Then on 7 December, that is when we will be having a club social event, and that'll be our year-end function. That's still, all the arrangements are still being made, but please diarize the 7th of December for the end-of-year club end-of-year function. That will be probably going to be taking place at CJ's in Bryanston. CJ's is Carly and Sharks, because that's the venue where we had our annual general meeting as well. There's a pool there, a beautiful venue, and that's where we will be having our end-of-year function if all goes to plan. So please diarize that in your diaries right now, Saturday the 7th of December. And then just a heads up, obviously the Baycar balloon will have SSTV on it. I was going to mention the second payload, which is our UHF SSTV transmitter, will also be on the Baycar balloon. And the ARISS Series 22 SSTV experiment starts on November 11 through to November 18. So that is amateur radio on the ISS, the International Space Station, and you can try and get the SSTV images that are being broadcast from the ISS as the ISS goes over South Africa. And that is on 145.800 megahertz, 145.800 megahertz, so that's using PD120. All you have to do this is download the Robot 36 SSTV app on your cell phone, and you will be able to receive these images by tuning your handy-talkie to 145.800 megahertz. If you've got an AMSAT Yagi, it can help. You can point it in the right direction, and then holding your cell phone to the handy-talkie so that it can pick up the tones and decode the image using Robot 36 decoder. So that's the same way you can do it for the Baycar SSTV images. And then just to reiterate, there are prizes up for grabs with the Baycar UHF SSTV images. So someone is going to win a great gift voucher, and I understand there may even be a Raspberry Pi on the line. So for those makers amongst us, you can score yourself a great gift voucher with Take-A-Lot, or maybe even a Raspberry Pi. So do decode those images that are going to come down from the Baycar balloon. I hope that the footprint is wide enough for everyone to get those SSTV images. The track is between Secunda and Swaziland at about 30 kilometers up in the sky. So you can do your projections, have a look, join the WhatsApp group, see it on the SARL events diary, join the WhatsApp group, and then have some fun with the Baycar balloon, the annual Baycar balloon event. Mike, I think that's all from me. ZS6STN, ZS6HI.
Thank you, Keith, ZS6HI, for coming in and giving us all of that club news. I now move on to the birthday list. We have on the 13th of November Brett Airy, and on the 16th of November Rainer van Heel. So yeah, just many happy returns for those days. With 2024 being the year of so many different elections around the world, when I was looking for something interesting to talk about on the Bulletin, I thought, well, and having a new president in the USA, let's have a look at some famous presidents that have had their amateur radio licenses. This list was compiled, but some of the keys may well be silent. But yeah, let's go through. So here, the first one I have is Francesco Cohica, President of Italy. There was also the President of Argentina, Carlos Salminum, Prime Minister of India, Rajiv Gandhi, Premier of the Cook Islands, Sir Thomas Davis, and the President of Nicaragua, General Anastasio Somoza. All of those were actually presidents or prime ministers of countries who held their amateur radio license. The other one that I found interesting was if you move on and look at heads of state or royalty, so just not quite presidents, but in various different structures where there are royal families. Yusuf al-Sabah, the Prince of Kuwait, Sultan of Oman, Qaboos bin Said al-Said, Juan Carlos, King of Spain, King of Thailand, Prince Tijipan, Prince of Thailand, Prince of Saudi Arabia, Talal bin Abdulaziz, King of Jordan Hussein, and the Queen of Jordan Noor, all royalty and heads of state with amateur radio licenses, which was interesting. And then just finally a couple of politicians. David van der Berg, he was a U.S. congressman and ambassador. Barry Goldwater, senator in the U.S. Arthur Mead, a Canadian cabinet minister. Ivan Venning, an Australian MP. And Armin Mayer, the U.S. ambassador or a U.S. ambassador to Japan. So I just thought quite interesting to see quite a few different ones on the list, but not as many as one would hope, and over time one would have expected. But that was just a list that was compiled of various different heads of states, politicians, etc., that had their amateur radio license. That brings us to the end of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club Bulletin. Thank you to everyone out there for listening. Please feel free to give comments. Thank you to the stations that help out on a regular basis with our relays, recordings, and broadcasting, and for those to contribute to our content from time to time. You can join us again next Sunday at 0845 Central African Time for the regular bulletin of the Sandton Amateur Radio Club. This is ZS6STN.